Found my husband and little sister in bed together. My 22 female spouse, 22 male, and I had the most fantastic, healthy, and happy marriage, in my opinion. We've been together for a little more than 2 years, but we've known each other for 7. We first met in high school, but I've never dated. I have a little boy whose biological father is a deadbeat. My husband took over and has been his father's since he was 4 months old. My kid and family admire my spouse. He reminds everyone of my father, who died unexpectedly of a heart attack 4 years ago, on the floor of our living room. My family and hubby were quite close in a short period of time. My husband and I began trying for a child a few months after we began dating. However, we did not conceive our kid until 15 months after we began trying. Dealing with infertility was really difficult on my mental health. After the 7th negative pregnancy test in a row, I spent a lot of time weeping into my husband's chest. When we found out I was pregnant with our 2nd son in November, we were overjoyed. The global scenario occurred, which put a damper on my pregnancy. As a result, I often invited my younger sister, 18F, to our apartment to keep me company while my husband worked long hours owing to the worldwide crisis. My 4 siblings and I are all quite close, but my youngest sister and I are by far the closest of all our siblings. I practically raised her after my mother abandoned us 2 months after our father died to go live with her lover. Would do anything for her at the drop of a hat and would always protect her and be on her side. My spouse decided to relax and have a drink for the first time in over a year one Saturday in April. My younger sister was visiting, so I went out and purchased some wine for her to drink so they could have fun drinking together, because I was pregnant and couldn't drink with him. When we were all playing video games and watching movies, I went to bed since it was becoming late and I was exhausted. When I awoke about 1 a.m. and didn't see my spouse in bed next to me, I went up to check whether he was still playing video games. I didn't even bother putting on my spectacles. When I came out to the living room, I noticed him standing hunched over her while she was resting on the sofa, in my severely fuzzy eyesight. They were both dressed, but I felt very nervous and sick in my stomach. When I questioned what they were doing, my husband said that he was chatting to her. I returned to the restroom and began weeping, but I dismissed it as stupid and hormonal, and tried to put it to the back of my mind. Only I couldn't because the recollection was consuming my every thought and driving me nuts. But I didn't have any evidence, and I didn't witness them doing anything. So I simply convinced myself that I was crazy, and that they would never do anything like that to me, particularly when I was significantly pregnant. My spouse began to grow more distant and downright rude to me. Always seems to find things to argue about with me. I'm not getting any attention, love, or it was very out of character for him. I dismissed it as him being concerned about the new baby. My husband and I purchased our first house in May, and I wanted to paint all of our rooms before we moved in. My husband agreed, and my sister volunteered to assist him. Fast forward to July, after 3 months of feeling that something wasn't right and that my marriage was in trouble. I awoke one Monday morning, 9 months pregnant, to an empty bed and no sign of my spouse. My younger sister had stayed the night. I put on my lenses and walked into the living room to check whether he was up and playing with the new cat we had acquired the night before. My stomach fell when there was no trace of him. The door to my unborn child's nursery, where my younger sister was sleeping, was open. My heart plummeted and my feet felt like cement blocks, yet I began going slowly towards the chamber, only to find my husband on his knees in our unborn son's nursery, administering oral to my baby sister. I knew it. "Get out of my home," were the first words out of my lips. I'll never forget the expressions on their faces. I was devastated and terrified. I rushed to our master bathroom and simply stood there stunned. When my husband walked in and attempted to speak to me, I threw everything within reach at him and ordered him to leave me alone. I pushed past him because he didn't. The rest of it is a haze, and I don't recall much of it. Except for concealing his keys so he could drive her back to my mother's place, he ended up doing so anyways. I'm still humiliated and crushed, but I can't bring myself to leave him, no matter how disgusted, hurt, and devastated I am. I've only spoken to my sister a few times, trying to figure out how she could do such a thing to me of all people. They didn't have an answer, and they had practically every time she came over while I was sleeping. I have no desire or need to be in a relationship with my sister. I honestly believe she owes me more devotion than anybody else on the globe. How do I recover from the ultimate betrayal by the 2 people I care about the most? Edit. Just to clarify up any misunderstandings. My spouse did not groom her or exploit her. She has said that it was entirely voluntary. Both my husband and her have said that there were no romantic sentiments involved. It's all about them. I should also mention that my younger sister has a long history of sleeping with mature guys. But I never imagined she'd go so far as to sleep with my husband. By stating this, I'm not taking any of the pressure off of him. Currently, a guy, 27, is in jail for having with her in the back of his vehicle when she was 15 years old. Also, the dude's name was the same as our elder brother's. She simply has significant problems. I discovered she'd been using my toys when I was at work a few years ago. She's insane and has boundaries. Problems clearly creeped me out, so I tossed them away. But once again, I had no idea she'd attempt to destabilize my marriage or connection with me. She also has a very special place in my son's heart. I'm not sure why she'd risk damaging it. To be honest, I'm perplexed. Story 2. My 39 male, wife 32 female, is openly cheating on me with my co-worker 36M, who is now mocking me. I and the gentleman are both employed at the same location. The problem is that I am unable to just change employment. It's an extremely delicate situation. However, we deal with serious circumstances, such as homicides and kidnappings, therefore we are effectively police officers. A job shift is a possibility, but it would result in a significant financial loss for me. As a consequence, we come into contact with one another almost every day. Worst of all, I was complicit in its occurrence. For nearly 2 months, I had a sneaking suspicion that she was having an affair with him. This guy is calling her on the phone during dinner, and I feel he is doing it intentionally. He is aware of my presence at home. I'm simply a patient person. We've been married for 8 years, and I don't want to throw it all away just because I'm feeling a little. I'm aware that she sleeps with him, and I just learned that she had done so in our bed as well. Everyone enjoys making fun of me. Several were right in front of me, but the most were behind my back. We are originally from Eastern Europe. In our nation, the most painful kind of humiliation is the one we suffer. He was also given a promotion only a few days ago. He previously had a respectable function for his age, but since he is in such excellent physical condition, he consistently performs really well. Furthermore, he is far more cruel than I am. We worked on a number of cases together, including one involving drug traffickers, and he was really tough with the defendants in that situation. To put it another way, I am more human. I'm feeling worthless. And like I want my wife back. I don't want him in my life. I want to keep my job, and I've never been more sad in my life than I'm right now. What should be the next course of action? Why does he continue to act in this manner? Why does he call her when he knows I'm at home, have with her in my bed, and then act as if nothing is occurring when we're on the clock at the hospital? But what frustrates me the most is that the guy is a bit of a handsome jerk. When I confronted her, she responded by stating that he is quite pleasant in bed. I inquired as to how he accomplished this, and she said that he pulls her hair and other such things. This is something I've never felt comfortable doing before. It should be noted that we don't have any children, and that something happened last year, I won't say what, that caused him to see me in a poor light while viewing him positively, and that he has detested me ever since.